But like, look at your production. I mean, last year, 42 transactions, top one in the state. How many mortgages last year?
I actually did about 18 mortgages.
How else are you getting that business? What are you doing in terms of lead gen?
You know, Alan, I'm having to reinvent myself right now because Divvy has been my biggest asset for all these years. And the day before my son crossed over, he called me, he said, Mom, I'm coming home. I didn't know what home meant. The next 12 hours later, I would find out what that meant.
What's going on, guys? And welcome to another episode of Alan K Show. And today we have a very special guest, one of our own in our brokerage. She just recently joined Best Homes Real Estate, the best brokerage, not only in the state of Arizona, but the entire world, I believe. I'm a little bit biased. I mean, she's a badass, right? I mean, she's a first-time businesswoman owner. She's a mother. She is a real estate agent, top 1% real estate agent, 2022, 2023, and 2024, right? And she also does mortgages on the side. She's got about 12 or 13 applications right now that are pending. She wants to do this in 49 states.
Yes.
Plus eventually New York, right?
Yes.
We got none other than Renessa Guerrero.
Thank you,
Welcome
Alan.
to the show.
Thank you.
Honored.
Honored.
Awesome.
It's been years for this, right? I think it's been years of being able to have this time together.
Well, we met first time, I think, was back in what, 2000, pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, it was like
2018, 2019. At that time, I did not have my brokerage. I still had a team. And I think Renessa came over with that weird dude.
My ex-husband. I divorced him.
Divorced. He was a little bit odd.
Yeah. I like the weird ones.
What is she doing with him? I was just curious. What is she doing with him?
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
Yeah, and I know. So I guess anything that is worthwhile, right?
Yes.
Takes time. All right. So share your journey with us,
Yes.
right? I mean, and by the way, it doesn't have to be just real estate journey or mortgages. Like I know at one point you had your own very successful dating matchmaking company.
Yes.
Right? Maybe we start there. Or if you want to start when you're like 1 or 2 years old, whatever. Surprise us.
Yeah. No, you know, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. I've owned nightclubs. I've owned a dating matchmaking business. I've owned an art gallery. I had a daycare business. And now I'm in real estate mortgage. Basically, if I try to make $1, I wanted to see how quick I could make it and how fast I could make it.
Wow.
So I'm kind of a queen of hustle, I would say. You know, even though now I don't have to hustle because I've kind of learned my groove, how to help people, how to empower people. But back in the day, it was all about that hustle, right?
Right.
You had to grind. You were coming from a family where you came from nothing. So you had to create something out of nothing. So that's kind of my background, is being able to just, you know, try everything and see what works, what's going to make the most amount of money. And even though the nightclub and matchmaking business did make me a lot of money, I was rarely home with my kids. So working till 4 o'clock in the morning, doing events every single night, dating classes, workshops, I had to change that up. And that's what brought me into real estate and mortgage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And when did that happen? What year?
In 2016.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you got licensed 2016.
17, I got licensed, but in
17.
2016 is when I was like,
I'm
okay,
done
I'm
with-
done with this. I need
Yeah.
a change.
Yeah. And you have how many kids?
4.
4 kids. Okay,
Yes.
got it. All right. So 4 kids, nightlife, super successful, but slinging drinks till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not something that you wanted to do anymore.
No.
Right,
I
okay.
was a big drunk back, actually.
Big drunk?
Oh, yeah. I drank so much. I was a big Ciroc drinker, Goose drinker, vodka on the rocks drinker. I mean, I would make sure I didn't eat that much so I could get even more drunk at night. Oh, yeah. Now I've been 12 years sober.
Hold on a second. So you haven't been drinking for 12
years? It'll be 13 years this August.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, so I could talk about being a drunk because I was a drunk.
Well, we're gonna talk about that, all right? So we will unpack that
I'm
piece of it, right?
recovering. Yeah.
Well, 12 years. I mean,
Yeah.
that's very impressive.
I had a lot of fun. It was part of the vibe, right? Everybody's drinking. I remember being the MC at my nightclub, right? And I'm getting on the microphone. I'm like, "Where's all my single ladies?" And everyone's like, "Ah!" And I'd be like, "Where's all my men with jobs?"
Oh, the jobs part.
And then the guys would be like, "Woo, woo, 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 woo." And I'm like, "All right, ladies, now you know who to go talk to."
Oh
Yeah, literally, that's me at my nightclub.
I'm just curious, out of those 100 men, how many of them raised their hand and said, I got a job?
Yeah.
All of them.
Oh, yeah.
All
They
of
would be like,
them.
woo, woo, woo. everybody would be like, yeah, they got their, their money, their checks, they're getting paid.
So you were matchmaking there, right there on the spot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So 2016, you decided to make a decision to get out of that business and life in general, right?
Yes.
Because it's just a different type of a life, right? You got your license 2017.
Yes.
Right? Here or in California?
Here.
Here. Okay,
Yeah.
so here. Tell us about your first, I guess, first year in real estate. I wanna know what was happening, and you didn't give up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of got tied into becoming, especially for first-time real estate, into a timeshare. So I went and worked at a timeshare company for 3 months, okay? And they were like, oh, you're going to make $100,000 working this timeshare. You're selling timeshares. Now, can I tell you, it was the best rebuttal training ever. Because you got somebody sitting there for 90 minutes saying, no, I'm not interested. No, it's not really something for me. No, and you're like, oh, I understand. And you're doing twist turns left, right, until they buy the $100,000 package at the end.
$100,000 package?
This is what turned me from that, okay? When I was in the trade, the timeshare business, I literally sold the highest package, right? Because I was like, oh, this is going to give you this.
So you were a high ticket closer before there was high ticket.
In timeshares.
Timeshare,
I'm not proud of it.
Wow.
It is what it is. But, these people traveled a ton. And I was like, listen, you got to get this VIP package, right? It's going to give you everything. When I went to go take it to my manager, they said, no one's ever sold that. We don't have it in our system. We just have that out there. So then that way, we can say, you could get this, but then we offer it at this lower price. They only had the give back price. Oh, if you don't do this for today, I'll offer it to you for $50,000 less, $20,000. So I don't have to offer it for that to them. I sold them at this price. They go, but you can't sell it to that. There's nothing in for it.
So what did you do?
And we have to figure
You created a new product.
I'm getting paid.
You created a new product.
I sold this VIP package.
How much were you getting paid if you sold at $100,000 product,
I think
right?
It was probably like maybe 8,000.
8,000?
Yeah,
Okay,
it
that's
was
pretty
a
good. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't like you sell 2 or 3 of those a month. You're doing good.
So I remember I used to have a real estate agent with us on my team, Felix Sandoval, right? And he spent like years and years and years working for a timeshare company, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the rebuttals that he shared with us was it would be husband and wife, and the wife is all up, like she wants to move forward with it. You know how it is, that they want to, experience, get out and vacation, beautiful place. And the husband is just sitting there is like, nope, we're not ready. I'm not interested. This is not the time. I got to think about it, this and that.
Yeah.
So what he used to tell is he's like, I would tell the husband to stand up, right? And then he's like, take out your wallet and just put it on your right hand, right? And just hold it this way. And then this is on this side, the left side is your wife, right? Which one do you want to choose to drop first? Your wallet or your wife?
Oh.
So the guy, I cannot believe
that's good.
And the guy would be like, the wallet. And it's like, all right, thank you. So he grabs his wallet and he processes the deal, right? It's a joke, obviously, and I'm sure not everybody enjoy. But this one of the rebuttals or objection handlers that he used to use.
Solid.
Was it solid?
Oh, that's solid.
I thought it was like, no way.
Oh, yeah. No, because you got to realize you've built a relationship with these people for an hour and a half. You've been talking to them. You've been asking them questions. Where do you travel? Where do you go? Who goes with you? Who travels with you? So now you know their kids. They're going, what are their names? You're in.
Damn.
You're in.
I've been to those couple of times.
Did you buy, Alex?
No.
Oh.
No. One was Dominican, DR.
Okay.
Another one, I don't remember, it was either Cancun or one of those places, right? And they do everything. They say everything right.
Yeah.
And you're almost there.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe because I was just not intoxicated enough or something like that, I would just say, you know what, hon? Let me sleep on it. Let's think about it, right? It's a huge decision. I think most likely we're going to move forward with it, right? And let's get back to it tomorrow. And she would be like, okay, honey, let's get it tomorrow. Okay, great. And then tomorrow she would forget about it. I'll buy her a present, and she's moved on to something else.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's the only way I would be able to say no.
The sleep on it is definitely a rebuttal in itself.
Oh, it is. But I would say, let's sleep on it. Let's figure this out,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then 24 hours later, she already forgot about it. She's doing
Yeah.
something else. Because it's usually not only coming from the salesperson, it's also coming from the wife.
Oh, yeah.
The wife is the one who's pressuring the husband.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
You're
that's-
selling the dream to be able to travel, have it for less money, being able to get all the amenities, VIP. I mean, I feel like I'm doing it right now.
And most of the
But,
wives
you
want
know,
that.
Oh, who doesn't?
yeah,
I want
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
That's why I
exactly.
go on cruise ships.
That's right.
I love it. Yeah.
That's right. So anyways, but I would work my wife first, right? And then she just forgets about it. That's it. Never done it.
Master plan.
Anyways. All right. So started working for the timeshare company. 3 months in the making. Learned a lot in terms of rebuttals, objection handling,
Yes.
presenting the value proposition,
Yes.
etc. What happened then?
Well, after I was not able to sell my highest packages,
They did not let you?
it was basically something that kind of was just, this is how we do it, and you got to stick to it this way. We're going to make this one exception type thing, which I'm not here to change corporations. I'm here to create my own. Right. And so I was like, okay, now I understand that. Now let me go ahead and start and do real estate by myself. And so I started off in the rent to own market. And this is back in 2020 or 2019, or 2017, 2018. And in 2018, there was a lot of rent-to-own properties that I was working with. We had a lot of owners that were interested in renting their property out and doing like a rent-to-own. And I actually worked really close with Zach Kepps. I don't know if you've heard of Zach. He's a really big investor here. He actually just did an HGTV show on all of his properties. So he's really, really big. But him and I teamed up, and I was able to do his properties. He would buy like trash properties, fix them up, and then we would do rent to own on them.
Huh.
And so we would lock in a price in 1 year to buy, 2 years to buy, and then I would get a cut of their down payment or get a cut of what they were doing for their payment for their first month, last month security deposit, things like that. And then I was making, a percentage of that. And then being the real estate agent and a mortgage loan officer when they bought. A lot of people in rent to own had bad credit. Right, that was main reasons. I don't have enough credit, so I was doing credit repair, helping them to be able to buy their house, and then I was also helping them with down payment. So every month, helping them kind of figure out how they're going to save for their down payment assistance programs. And so I was just right there. Even in myself, moving out here to Arizona from Seattle was renting, so I got into a rent-to-own house. And so I started working with Divvy Homes. I don't remember if you know what Divvy Homes was.
I remember.
Divvy Homes came out in 2019,
Yes.
and they were like, hey, we'll buy any house on the market
I think that was from
cash.
Atlanta, Georgia, right? They're from Georgia, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said, we're going to buy any house cash,
Yeah.
and you just need a 550 credit score.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've been struggling in Arizona with credit and everything else. A lot of people are barely getting by. This is 2019. So I'm like, 550? And they had a promotion. If you could get 10 people to buy houses in 1 month using their promotion, they'll give you $10,000. If you can get 10 people to buy a house in 30 days, I won that promotion.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So my wife and I did. I'm going to give her 99% of the credit.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
So you
they
got
were like,
so you got 10 tenants.
yep.
They're tenants, right? They're
Yep.
all tenants, right? And the DV is the one who's purchasing,
Yes,
right?
yep.
In 1 month.
In 1 month.
Not only you got the commission there,
Yes.
but you also got $10,000 prize.
Yes.
Wow.
And they said, Renessa, again, we were not prepared to hand this out because we weren't expecting anybody to win. We just wanted to float it.
No, they did not.
Yes. This is the second time. People are not prepared to pay me my money. So, but they were like, don't worry, we're still going to take care of you. But they were like, we're really shocked that it actually happened. We did not expect anybody to sell 10 houses in 30 days. I was like, you don't know me. You don't know this hustle. You don't know what I got. So
they didn't pay you?
Oh, they did.
Oh, they did.
They
Okay.
They did, absolutely. They paid me, but they were just shocked, basically, that they had to pay somebody because they were not expecting the promotion to actually. I think people do that sometimes. Corporations throw these big old numbers out there and just kind of help people get somewhere, but maybe don't necessarily follow through. Who knows?
Yeah, unattainable or unachievable.
Yeah, just something to just
something,
inspire people.
Inspire everyone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So I did it, and then I kept doing rent to own from 2019 to COVID hit 2020, and then in 2020 all the banks stopped lending. right?
Yeah.
It was like big. We went into freaking curfew.
Yeah.
We were all in quarantine.
So Divi, and then there was another company, I think, Home Partners of
Home
America,
Partners
right?
of
I know my
America.
agents were working with Home Partners
Yeah.
of America for quite some time as
yeah.
well. Whatever happened to those companies?
Well,
They're still around?
Divi went upside down, unfortunately.
Okay, gotcha.
Upside down, which
Yeah.
I kind of figured was going to happen, even though we helped hundreds of families get into homes. We were just buying in 2022, 2021, after COVID and all these low interest rates, we were buying 50, 60,000 above list price. So when you have a home investor buying overpriced real estate, overpriced assets.
Because the money was free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were getting all the venture capitalist money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sachs, all these
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs, all these investors were coming in. It wasn't their money. It was other people's money. Right now, I like to teach people how to use other people's money.
Is it called OPM?
Yep. And they bought all this real
Yeah.
estate in Arizona. I think we bought like 300 houses just in like a couple of years right off the bat.
And half of them were yours.
Oh, at least. At least. Yeah. I was doing like 50 to 60 houses a year from them.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it was a blessing for me
Yeah.
at that time, right? Because my heart and soul was rent to own, and it was getting these people into something they could afford. I got a Divi house. I bought my house at 360. Divi asked for it to buy back at 374, 375. So it was like a $15,000 equity split, basically, is what I look at it as. And then my house now is worth 530. So, but that's anybody that bought in 2017 or 2018 to 2020 has $100,000 in their pocket, no matter what.
Oh, yeah. Like
It's Arizona all the way around.
I just got my clients under contract a couple of days ago in Arrowhead Lakes. I helped them to buy that house in 2019, in May of 2019, for $507,000. That's a 2,800 square foot house, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, Lakeview.
Yeah.
We listed it for 1.1, and it's under a contract. I can't say it right, but it's 7 figures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over $1 million, right? So they're walking away.
Holy
They're walking away. They're
moly.
walking away with $500,000 profit in less than 6 years.
You can't do that. There's no other, you can't have a job that you're going to work for 6 years and they're going to hand you a $500,000 check. You can, unless you know day trading and you're a phenomenal expert at day trading, you cannot do that in day trading. You can't do that in insurance. Life insurance. I cannot put in my monthly payments that family made for those 5 years. If I put that into a life insurance plan, it still wouldn't give me $500,000. So there's no life insurance, there's no day trading, there's no investments. The only possible way that you could make $500,000 in 5 years is only through real estate.
Yeah. Now, granted, they spent about $100,000 in remodeling.
Well,
Right.
you had it.
Right. Exactly.
They saw the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. But $500,000 in less than 6 years. That's the power of real estate.
It's powerful.
But you got to buy right.
You do have to buy right.
Yeah.
You do have to buy right. 100%.
Correct.
100%.
So the Divi business pretty much dried up in 2022 when the rates went up.
Divi dried up last month. They just sold last month.
Oh,
Yes.
So they were still buying?
They were still buying. Actually, no, you're right. They stopped buying in like 2022, but then they still had a bunch of listings from when they bought in 20 and 2021.
How many of those renters actually bought those properties?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I myself helped at least 30 plus renters buy their homes. Actually, I have 2 under contract right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, my goal was to make it realistic. Right? Like, if you don't know going into a rent-to-own property, do I afford this property for me to buy it based on my income, debt-to-income ratios? Because rent-to-own is 2 prices, the price you get in and the price you buy it back. So when Divi buys it or the rent-to-own company buys it, is not the same price that you buy it. Somebody's got to make a spread. Someone's got to make that money. So you got to make sure that you qualify for the upcharge in that spread.
So what's the upcharge? Let's say, for example, when they bought it for $350, let's say the price is $375. Like, is there an upcharge on top of that? $375?
No, they actually started changing it from like a $15,000 upcharge. They started going to like 10 to 20, 30% upcharges. So now if you're buying a $400,000 house, you're buying it back at $440, 10%.
I see.
So they're making a 10% equity gain, right? I mean, in reality, that could still work. Equity is going up 4 to 6% a year. You live in that house for 2-3 years. You're splitting your equity with somebody where you don't have to move again. All those other great things.
Now, they're still putting it on the market, or this is just an internal between the tenant and the DV?
Yep,
Like
it's all internal.
internal. Do you get any financial benefits out of that or no?
Just the mortgage. That's why I have my mortgage license.
Oh, look at that play. Look at that play. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it all.
Yes,
So the
yes.
mortgage side,
Yes,
interesting.
yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
So I got another check on the back end.
Another check on the
Another
back
check
end.
on the front end.
Okay, I love it. All right. Okay. So last year, which was a tough year, right? So the last 2.5, 3 years been really, really rough, right?
Yeah.
In our business. So, but like, look at your production. I mean, you're not skipping the beat at all. I mean, you're just like last year, 42 transactions, right? Top one in the state, right? How many mortgages last year?
I actually did about 18 mortgages.
So 42 real
Yeah.
estate transactions, 18 mortgages.
Yep, so about 2 a month almost.
Right.
Yeah,
By yourself.
yeah.
By yourself. So
Well,
like
and
you,
my wife.
Yeah, and your
Yeah,
wife.
she's
But
my-
like you don't
my
have like a big team or anything like that. So that's you. 42 transactions on a real estate and 18 on a mortgage side, right?
Yes.
And the year before in 2023, what was that?
I know it was top 1%. I think I did like another 40. I know I've been in
40.
the 40s plus.
So 40, 40, 40.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
year is a 40
Yes,
plus.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How are you getting your business aside from the DV past clients that you have? How else are you getting that business? What are you doing in terms of lead gen?
You know, Alan, I'm having to reinvent myself right now because Divvy has been my biggest asset for all these years, right? Like they were giving me 10, 20 listings a year plus.
Wow.
I know. So I had this huge corporate client going, here, we're just going to feed you, which I needed at that time, right? Like it was a blessing in disguise because of what I was going through. So it was perfect for me at that time. And it was a blessing to me at that time because that's when my son, unfortunately, I always give my heart and soul out because everything I do now from this point forward is in memory of my son, Michael. So my son, Michael, crossed over. And I say these things because I want to bring fentanyl awareness for everybody that's out there that understands that my son overdosed on fentanyl in 2022. And so in 2022, I got hit hard. And I was like, holy moly, how do I get myself up? I still have 3 other kids to feed, actually at that time 2, and then 1 was on the way. So I had to really, really get myself into a place where I had to still work even though I was dying on the inside. And real estate helped me do that with still being able to have a partner in real estate. And this is why I always advocate having 2 or 3 streams of lead generation. Mm-hmm. You have to have at least 2 or 3, if not more. I'm into 5, but 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was able to still grieve, mourn, heal, literally barely crawl to my computer. And I still had transaction after transaction after transaction, and I was still top agent. How is that possible?
I don't know. I first and foremost, I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean, I cannot relate to it because I have 3 kids, healthy kids, and God forbid, I would never want to see that in my life.
Never.
My wife, my mom passed away 2 years ago from cancer.
I'm sorry about that.
And thank you. And then my very good friend, my best friend, took his life last year. He hanged himself in his shop, and he's got a loving wife, two kids, a son and a girl, son and a daughter. And I've known her for over 20 plus years, never suspected it. So there were weeks and weeks when my mom, and she was struggling quite a bit. She had a pancreatic cancer, vicious cancer. It took me weeks to get over that. And I'm still thinking about
We're
her
always
every
grieving.
single
Always,
day. Every
yeah.
single day. On Monday, we celebrated 2 years of her life, right?
Mm-hmm.
with a family. So I still cannot believe that she's no longer with us. And she was an amazing woman.
Well, she's with us.
Right, and I'm talking physically.
Yes,
she may not be
yes,
with us,
yes,
but I
no,
think
but you're right.
You
Yes,
know, but
the physical part
physical
is a huge part.
right. But
Yes.
I think spiritually, her soul is still present. She's still with us. I really truly believe so. She's
Oh my
with us
gosh.
every day.
The evidence is always there.
Yeah, same thing with my friend Lenny. You know, and so. But again, that's what you went through with your son in 2022.
October.
How were you able to overcome this? I mean, this is it's a tragedy.
It's
I mean,
traumatic.
it's a traumatic. I mean,
It's traumatic when you any
How
parent
old was
that is
he?
active. He's 22 years old.
he's 22 years
Yeah.
old.
We were talking about us starting a business together. He loved my hustle. He was a big kind of guy into doing things. He wanted to do a recovery business, a rehab recovery business, because he struggled with addiction. And I think so many families have maybe somebody that struggles with addiction. And my son struggled. And every time he tried to get clean, every time, some way, some form, he got pulled back. And the day before my son crossed over, he called me. He said, "Mom, I'm coming home." I didn't know what home meant. The next 12 hours later, I would find out what that meant. And so it's been a journey, but every time I would get a call from somebody that they wanted to go see a house or I had a referral, I'd show up at the house and Feathers would be there. Or I'd show up and all of a sudden there would be somebody talking about somebody that crossed over on the other side. All of a sudden I'd walk in and there would be a conversation about somebody that they recently transitioned over to the other side. My son's name is Michael, and there was this beautiful family that came to me through one of my YouTube videos, right? And she said, after showing her the house, she goes, "The reason why I want to work with you is because my brother just recently overdosed, and he crossed over, and his name is Michael." So when you start seeing now there's a heaven's tribe, where now my son is a partner with me in heaven. I've had to do a lot of shamanic, deep healing to really dive deep in my soul, to find heaven, to feel my son's frequency through me, for me to be able to speak here in confidence without being on the ground. Because being on the ground means he's forever gone. And my son's memory will not be in vain. His memory is not going to be me suffering. My son's memory isn't to tear me apart. My son would never want to look from heaven and say, "I tore my mother apart." That would never be my child's memory. Instead, he said, "Mom, I got a new way for us to communicate. It wasn't what we planned. It wasn't what we imagined. It sure is like the day you had me wasn't for you to think that in 22 years you would be opening heaven's gates for us to talk this way. But Mom, lean into this because I'm right freaking here." And you have to have such a level of connection within your spirit and soul to feel him. And then all of a sudden you go to a place and my Uber driver comes in and he's a funny guy. And I said, "What's your name?" "My name's Michael."
Michael. Wow.
And constantly, I can't even tell you the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coincidences with my clients that come to me now. I live on a whole other frequency with heaven now. And that's why I know when you told me when we had talked that your mom had crossed over, I didn't know that her anniversary was Monday.
Yep.
That's a sign to me, because I knew, like, hey, this is where I belong, because heaven's frequency is so close, right there.
Yeah.
And it's a mother's love over her son, like my love for my son. So it's just like, I can feel that right now. So that's how connected it is.
During that period of time, people hire therapists. They go to church.
Yeah.
They talk to people.
Yeah.
Right? Did you do any of that stuff?
I still do therapy every Tuesday morning.
You still do therapy,
every Tuesday
right.
morning, I have my grief. It's not necessarily grief. It's more my transition therapist of just how am I coping.
Same therapist since 2022?
Same therapist. She's been by my side. And she has a high level of also believing in heaven's frequency. She believes that heaven exists right through us, all around us. So I can have those deeper conversations with her. And then I also worked on in a shamanic way. A shamanic is more like really in a deep prayer and meditation and really going deep inside myself with understanding that there's other realms within my spirit and my soul. And so when you cry at such a deep level where you lose your breath, it's where that exists. You keep on. And not many people have had that traumatic experience. I pray nobody has to go through those traumatic experiences. But moms and parents that have had a family member cross over, you would know that last deep cry. And then when you're in that space, another part of you starts getting activated because that can't be your forever. That person didn't cross over to kill you. It didn't happen that way. There's no possible way that's how evolution exists. It's a doorway. It's a gateway. And unfortunately, my son was that sacrifice. But it also was a blessing because now I have a deeper level with what I do, with everything I do. I bring heaven into it. My conversations with people are different. My community I'm building is different. How I run my business is different. How I show up is different. It's authentic. It's where I'm at because I don't have any room for the commercial Renessa. There's no commercial Renessa. This is the real life, getting by.
Real McCoy.
Yeah, this is it, right? And my son's a part of that.
Yeah.
And when I can connect and bring him into the conversation, it changes. It changes everything with every person I meet. And sometimes it's meant for me to talk about him. Sometimes I don't have to talk about him in that way or bring him up. Sometimes I can just feel him and it's him and I's moment. Oh, Mike, thank you. Oh, thank you, lovies. That's what I call it. Thank you, lovies. Oh, man, look at this happen or that happened. And then like my daughter who's 19, she's a videographer and she does sports videography. And she'll go, Mom, I made this call and this happened and this happened. And this door got open and this door got open. And when you start connecting with heaven, you start seeing where heaven starts connecting with everything you do. And I think if there's any magic sauce to my real estate business is that I let heaven do its job within my business. It's not just me. It's me and my heavens tribe, not just my son, but all my ancestors, all of my family that's on that side. And I think we leave that out. We leave that out in our business, our spiritual practices. Doesn't mean you have to be this like hardcore religious person, but just having your own spiritual connection. So then that way you don't feel like the weight's all on your shoulders.
Does he ever talk to you?
Oh, yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because when I lost my best friend, right, a few days later, the day before his burial in New York, right? So he lived here, but his family's in New York, so they flew him out there. At night, he woke up his wife, and this is what his wife is sharing with us, and he asked her to grab a piece of paper, a pen, and he started sharing his thoughts about everyone that was in his circle. And giving gratitude, also sharing what he thought about them and kind of like what their future is going to be. And she shared that with us. At first I was like, maybe she had a dream. But literally, she's like, no, she's like, I have it written down. Like, she was writing it down. She has it on piece of paper. So for me, it was like, there's no, like, it's hard to believe, but everything that you're sharing right now, right? And I was like, man, that's a reality to it.
Oh, 100%.
There's truth to it.
100%. The more sensitive you are to your own spirit, your own vulnerability, and I can tell you it's been hard because I have 25 years as an entrepreneur and businesswoman. I'm a masculine, go-getter, hardcore woman, right? Like I'm about my business. But when you got to step and you get knocked on the ground and now you got to come back up, and I'm barely coming back up, Alan. Barely coming back up. This is my first podcast interview. But as you can tell, I had to get prepared for this moment to be able to come and speak like this in this way, where I would not be on the ground crying, because that would have been me maybe 6 months ago, right? So for me, my son and that connection to the other side is so much stronger than this side. And the reason why I know it's so much stronger is because now we're no more satisfied with the physical. We are now at a generation, we're now in a timeline where people are like, I don't want to work 80 hours a week to barely see my family. I want freedom. Our generation, we weren't grown up with that mindset. We were like, freedom was being able to like buy the nicest car in the neighborhood. You wanted to achieve, to receive, to have the accolades, to have the production, to have like all that. I wanted the big house. I've had the big houses. I've had the nicest cars. I've achieved, and I'm still freaking empty on the inside. I'm doing all these things. My house has the nicest this. I'm going on the best vacations, and I'm still empty. Why do we have the biggest mental health crisis? Why do we have the biggest drug crisis? Why do we have the biggest depression crisis? And these are high producing performers that we constantly see going away from us and leaving us. Why? Because the physical no longer fills the soul. We've completely come from a generation where we believe the physical tangibleness was everything, and we left out spirit. And so the ones that cross over are our activators back to spirit. They're the ones holding their hand out going, this is how you're going to be fulfilled. I'm sorry that you had to lose me this way. But this is how this looks. This is how this feels. And it sucks, and it's the hardest thing possible to believe that my son is on the other side. And I asked him when he crossed over, I said, why'd you leave me? And I was mad. I was like, how did you leave me? Why would you leave me like this?
Yes.
I'm like, how could this be? Like, why couldn't you call me? Why did you take that pill? Why did you do this? Come on. He says, Mom, I'm in an army over here. I have work to do over here. I have an army of soldiers lined up, ready to help us with everything we need. Do you know why 99% of people struggle? Because they believe it's all on themselves to heal themselves. They're like, it's just on me. You know why many people struggle with stress and pressure? Because they think they're the only ones that could perform for themselves.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this video. I'm going to speak from my heart, but I need you spiritual realm to bring the people that need for me to serve.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show up and help this family get a house, but I need my angels, my son, my family. I need you to go and help me get this contract and negotiate it with the right person. Let this be smooth. Let this be easy. We have to start seeing and feeling, so the stress isn't all on me. And can I tell you, since I've started activating that with heaven, activating my spiritual, I have now, I've only been doing this for like the last 3 months because I'm just still coming out from everything.
Yeah.
I'm starting to go where I can feel like I can come back out, right? Like I'm ready to get back out there and share. I couldn't before. I felt guilty. How can you go and want to run a business when your son just crossed over? How can you be out there trying to sell a house when your son just went to heaven? How could you be out here talking about buying houses when you just had to bury a child? Like I literally was stuck. And I was like, that's not my reality. I have to change this. That cannot be my legacy.
Yeah.
As I stopped producing, I stopped being me because my son went to heaven. No, I'm going to find my son. Just like they said, Jesus rose in 3 days. Just like Jesus rose Lazarus up in 3 days, you're going to raise my son up in 3 days. I literally had that level of conviction. And that's how I've been able to connect with my son. And he fights my fights with me, my inner fights, my inner thoughts that want to take me down. Instead, he brings me back up. Mom, that's not who you are. Like even today, Mom, put on your nice dress. All right, you're going to be on YouTube, Mom. Make it. This is going to be all right, let's go. Because he's here with us too. Our whole family's here with us. That mother-son love is right here surrounded. And so I knew that when we connected. And now when I do my TikTok videos, now when I do my Facebook videos, now when I put it, I think right now I have at least 30 leads I have to follow up with today. At least. I'm like, how am I going to have 30 conversations in one day?
You got 30 leads today? Just today?
Just 2 days. From
2 days.
Yesterday, well, today, this morning yet. But I had 2 emails that came in this morning that are like, can you help me buy a house?
Wow.
That's just this morning. From one email I sent out yesterday to my database. So yeah, it's just, you want to activate and be in flow and abundance, not be in that struggle. It's a totally different place. And we weren't taught this, how to nurture our flow. We were taught how to grind our flow. We were taught how to get out there and hustle, hustle, hustle. But now I'm like, I need heaven to hustle because my soul's barely surviving.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Like, I get everything that you're saying, by the way. It's fire. It's awesome. I love it.
It's different. Not everybody talks like this, right? But this is my reality.
Well, let's talk about the grind and the flow, right? So I believe there are stages in life, and there are also stages in business, right?
Yes.
There's a stage or there's a season, for like grind.
Yeah.
Right.
I got 25 years of grinding. Right. I got 25 years.
And then there are also stages of flow, right? And obviously, having that ideal, I don't know, there's such thing as an ideal life, work balance or business, life balance. But there are stages to it, right? I think you have to do initially when you're trying to get your business off the ground.
Yes.
Regardless, whether it's your real estate agent, you're a mortgage loan officer, doesn't really matter. You have to grind. You have to put in the time. You got to put in the energy.
It's massive action.
Action.
It's action. I think the word grind takes away the energetic place of massive action. And let me tell you what massive action looks like. I love community events, right? I used to do events all the time when I had my dating company. I used to do close to 60 events a year. Okay, 3 events a week on top of running a nightclub full time. I know hustle, okay, deep level hustle, like 4 hours of sleep hustle, get my grind hustle, all of that, okay, lived it, done it. Now I take all that knowledge and wisdom that sits inside of me. It's just there. I know if I need to turn it on, I'll turn it on. I'm not ready to turn it on. I'm still struggling. I'm still hurting. I'm still babying my soul, my spirit, right? All of a sudden I get a message from heaven. Connect with this group on Facebook. It's called Arizona Women's Network, AWN. They don't have any events going on. There's 15,000 women in this group.
And no events.
No events. They just do a lot of postings for businesses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I messaged the owners of the group and I said, hey, listen, I'd love to start bringing events to your community. And they said, yeah, we'd love to have you. This is our membership. This is how you sign up. I sign up for the membership. I'm the event ambassador now for 15,000 women. I didn't have to go hustle and find that 15,000. Do you see how quickly you can up level?
But your upbringing.
It's paying off, right?
Yeah,
but everybody needs to know.
Because you paid your dues, though. You
but
see,
many
that's what
of
I'm
us
saying.
have paid our dues.
But no. We are like an
We're the OGs.
instant.
We're the OGs.
We are.
Okay.
Like I'm 46 years old.
I'm 43. I'll be 44.
Okay, so from age 13, we moved to this country when I was 13 years old. Like my mom had multiple jobs. My dad, after about 6 months, he fell into this major depression and decided to move back to former Soviet Union, Russia. And for 5-6 years, he was there. It was my mom and me. And from age 13, I was working. I was going to school in the mornings. In the afternoon times, after 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm outside handing out flyers for a tarot card reader for $1.50 an hour. That was my first job. At age 13, till 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I'm standing outside of the shopping mall just doing that. So this way I can bring money, right, to my mom and the two siblings, right? And since then, I always worked. I always hustled.
My first job was 13.
Exactly.
At a food shelter because we had no food in the house. So I went and volunteered at the food shelter. And after school, would be able to get extra boxes of food for my family. So yeah, 13, we understand, right?
For years, we would have food stamps, right?
Yep.
At that time, the food stamps were like little checkbooks.
Yep.
Right, we would go and we'd stay in line because there was a limit for a flour, there was a limit for pasta, they were for sale, but there was a limit of 1 or 2 or 3, and like my sister would stand in one line. Right, in a store, my mom would stand in the second line. I would stand in the third line. So 3 of us can get that product, right?
Yep.
So we went through that, and I remember that, and from that point, like I said, I always hustled and I had to grind. I got married very young. I was 22 years old. Had to do but everything that I've done then prepared me for now.
Yes.
Right now, I'm not hustling right now. I'm not grinding right now,
Yeah.
but the experience, right? The scars and all the things that I had to go through for so many years, I'm reaping the rewards and the results now.
100%.
Right. So the same thing with you, though.
Yeah.
Right. Running a club till 4 o'clock in the morning, it's a grind.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No.
Doing a bunch of events during the week, it's not easy. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
But I say this, the reason I say this is because there are people out there that don't want to go through that hustle. They don't want to go through that grind, and they want instant gratification. They want instant results. They want to make connections and they want to start reaping the rewards and making money right away without putting in the time, the effort, the energy, all of that is required.
I understand that. I have a 19-year-old daughter, okay, who is hardworking just like me. So she is a go-getter. She works full-time. She has her own company.
You're lucky.
And goes to college, okay? But I see where other people in that age group or even their 20s and 30s are struggling. And the reason why is because they're not spiritually connected to their action plan. If you are spiritually connected to your action plan, and I told you, if you go out there and share this message on video today, you're going to change 100 people's lives. But if you're like, I don't want to do it, I don't know if I'm good on video, I don't know if this should be this, I'm going to think about this, I should have this type of backdrop, I should have this, 2 weeks later go by and you're still struggling. Mm-hmm. We are in an age where information is the least of what you need because we're information overload. Mm-hmm. We are now in massive action, and the people that are taking massive action are the ones that are getting ahead. That's why you see our young influencers, these young people coming in here, running their big brokerages and like, dude, you're 22.
Yeah.
What? You're 24.
Yeah.
What? Because those are I don't need to think. Just like my daughter, she's 19. They come from parents where the thinking was doing. We couldn't sit on something for 2 weeks. We had to feed our family. We couldn't sit on an idea, whether it's going to work or not. We got to go hustle it. I'm going to go try that idea, and if it doesn't work, at least I know I did it.
Yeah.
I don't sit on ideas. I act, and then I create it was a success or didn't work? How can I pivot? Yeah. My pivot is as quick as my massive action.
I'm exactly the same way.
I know.
Right?
That's
so I'm
why
exactly the same way, right?
The same
I exactly the same. But 90% of people out there
don't have purpose.
That opposite.
They don't have the
well,
spiritual
not only purpose,
connection.
they don't have the clarity, right? And they also have self-doubt, a major self-doubt, limiting beliefs, and they have this a disease called getting ready just to get ready.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how do you you speak to those 90% of people or 80% or 50%, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
How do they overcome that? How do they overcome the limiting beliefs, self-doubt, paralysis by analysis, getting ready to get ready, trying something for a week or two, it doesn't work out, and then they just give up and they jump to another thing.
Yes.
And it doesn't work out, they move to another thing.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
You need community. You need a big community. Like one of the big communities I'm getting ready to create is called Hot Mess and Blessed.
Hot Mess and Blessed?
Blessed.
And Blessed.
Hot Mess and Blessed.
Why there's a hot mess?
Because who are you describing? The hot messes.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Yeah. But
right? Like we're describing the hot messes out there.
And blessed. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So you're a hot mess. You're out there. You have the desires you have, but everything's still not adding up. Your bank account doesn't match your dreams. Your daily action, you're not walking in purpose.
So
with
hot mess
everything
is not physical. It's more
internal.
it's more mental.
It's all
internal.
mental.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hot mess is. There's plenty of good-looking people out there that it's not in the mental or the physical. It's the mental or spiritual. So you're feeling this way on the inside, where you feel broken, disconnected. You don't feel fulfilled. You feel like, how do I find my purpose? And the one thing about real estate is it sells a dream. You're going to have all these leads. You're going to have all this money. You're going to live this high life. Everybody sells the real estate dream, right? Especially the agent dream. right? Where you're going to come in and get your license in 6 weeks. It's the fastest thing you could do. It's super fast. Think about it, right? How many people can get a license in something in 6 weeks and start making six figures in 12, and not even 12 months? I've had $40,000 plus months. So in 3 months, I've made $100,000.
Yeah, you spend less than $1,000 and you can make $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month.
Exactly.
It's not easy though.
No, nothing's
Most of the agents
easy.
don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
But the next generation needs to find fulfillment with action.
Yeah.
And if there's no fulfillment, they lack action.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I
So how
agree
do
with
you
you.
help them find fulfillment?
Yeah.
They got to join my community.
Hot mess and blessed.
Hot mess and blessed, baby, because we coming up. We coming up. Hot mess and blessed is coming up.
I love it.
Yeah, because you got to own it. You got to own it. And then when you start to own it, then you can start seeing the blessings. Until you can own your struggle, until you can own, like I'm, and you know this when an agent has come to you, Alan, in a very vulnerable place. I'm barely getting by. I need this. I need your help. Until they can own their humbleness, they can own where they're currently at. Do you have a space to teach? Do you have a space to mentor? You know, as a business mentor, the hearts you can change is when they're with the most vulnerable.
Well, when ideally they hit the rock bottom.
Hot mess.
Hot mess, right? The rock bottom. And there were times when I hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Like I remember back in 2008, 9, when, we had that great recession. I lost everything financially. I was bankrupt, owned $500,000 in debt, lost all of my rental properties, was losing actually our home while my wife was pregnant with our second, and she's freaking out. And had to let go of 40 of my employees. Half of my vehicles were repossessed. I'm talking about, I owned a luxury transportation business with 30 vehicles. Half of them had to be repossessed because I was not paying, couldn't pay.
Yeah.
And I think the worst moment of that period was when my wife gave birth to our son, and she was in New York at that time already, right? While I'm trying to figure things out here and find a place to live, I couldn't fly out there. Couldn't fly out, didn't have the money to fly out there. Finally, I was able to scrape some money and able to go there, but I did not witness the birth of my son. And for me, that was the rock bottom of the rock bottoms. And I said to myself then, and I made a promise to myself then, I said, look, there's no way I'm going to put my family in that situation again.
Amen.
Right? So you have to hit the rock bottom. But at the same time, you don't have to, by the way. You don't. I truly believe that progress happens when you take action. But you have to take action in a way where you got to have a clarity first, right? But also I believe that a lot of folks, they have the clarity, they want to take action, but they don't keep the promises that they made to themselves. And I think, like, just working with the agents for the last 8 years, 9 years, I think one of the main reasons why agents do not succeed is because they don't keep promises to the things that they said they're going to do. If you said that you're going to do, let's say, 3 open houses a week, do 3 open houses a week.
Yeah.
If you say that you're going to make 5 contacts a day, do 5 contacts a day.
Well, in real estate, it's having an entrepreneur mindset versus an employee mindset.
Correct.
So when people don't follow up with what they're supposed to do, it's because they're used to somebody micromanaging them.
Yeah. If you said you're going to do X, Y, and Z, do it.
But if no one's going to follow you and make sure you did it.
That's right. But then what happens is, because you said you're going to do it and you didn't do it, you said you're going to do this and you didn't do it, right? This whole situation now weighs pounds of guilt. Where now you're like, hey, you know what? Nothing is working out. Or whatever I wanted, it's not happening to fruition. Or all the goals that I set in the beginning of the year are nowhere near the achieving of those goals, right? And they go into this. I feel like, honestly, half of the depression out there can be solved if people can just do what they said they're going to do. I swear to God. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a clinical expert. I really truly believe, and I can also speak for myself, when I say I'm going to do something and I'm not doing it and I'm keeping avoiding it.
And you don't come back and wrap around and say, hey, I was going to do this.
Correct.
And then I decided that I'm going to pivot and do this instead.
Right. Like I'm lying to myself constantly.
Absolutely.
Right. You fall into that trap.
Yes.
Where like, man, just mentally, you just feel down.
Yeah.
You just don't feel right.
Absolutely.
Right. So, anyways, that's my explanation.
Accountability is the power of success.
Oh, 100%.
If you don't have accountability of somebody to answer to, of somebody to connect with and engage with, you will not. And that's why you and I are the less than 1% of this country, because our accountability comes from a deeper place. We don't need someone we wake up every day with like this all day.
We don't, but we still do.
Oh, yeah.
We still want to be in the environment, right? So like Tony Robbins constantly talks about, right? Like proximity is power, success leaves clues, right? You always want to be in a room with people, right, that have done what you're trying to do.
100%.
They recognize your achievements, right? They guide you, they mentor you, they help you to compress the time. They validate your decisions, right? Or your thoughts.
Yep.
Like that's so important. You want to be in the room with those type of people. If you really truly want to compress the time, right, in achieving the targets and hitting your goals, you want to be in those rooms. But you're absolutely right. I think one of the main reasons why, let's say going back to the real estate world, one of the reasons why agents do not succeed or do not succeed quickly enough is because they're not in the room with people, the right type of people that elevate them, that recognize them, that challenge them, that guide them, and also hold them accountable.
Accountable is the biggest thing. I think that's why a lot of these big franchise companies that are out there that offer all these systems and tools lack the deep level of accountability.
Correct.
And that's why there's such a high turnover in real estate. And that's why more people are attached to their dreams than their check-ins.
Yes.
And when's the last time you checked in? When's the last time? Who's keeping you accountable? And then as I'm looking at growing my team, here in Arizona with Best Homes, I want to have agents that I can keep accountable, that I can be on my team, that I can be that empowering person for them so they can feel like, hey, Renessa's going to check in on me and I'm doing things that successful people are already doing.
Yeah.
So I'm following a successful plan. That's the key point.
That's the shortcut.
Yeah.
That's one of the shortcuts.
Why go through all the struggles that we had to go through?
Absolutely.
Instead, we're going to take you right to the finish line.
I remember, I wanted to become an attorney.
You would have been a great attorney.
I in high school, I used to watch all of those, Perry Mason, Matlock. I was like, man, one day I'm going to be like them, right? But every single person that I was talking to, I didn't have mentors growing up.
Yeah, me either.
I did not have mentors.
First gen.
Right, exactly. So they were like, oh, attorneys, they didn't do that much business. I see attorneys driving taxis, blah, 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 and everything like that. So I never really had someone that really took me under his or her wing and said, man, you're on the right path. Right, I'm validating your thought process. I'm validating your decision. Right.
Yes.
And man, right now, I'm looking at my kids, and we're having conversations, and I'm being that mentor, and I'm just sharing my things that I went through, like with my son and my daughters. Right. It's like, man, I wish I would have that growing up. I did not have that. Right now. Maybe it was a blessing that I didn't become an attorney, because every attorney that I know, no disrespect to attorneys, they're not happy people. Maybe because they're in that environment, right? I mean, because you go to the attorney for what? For the most part.
Yeah.
When you have
your
problems.
Hardships.
You have problems and everything like that, right? Like that's the same thing with therapists. Therapists, they have their own therapists.
Yes.
Because every day they deal with people that have problems.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Think about it. But anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but we all got to have mentors. We all got to have coaches. We all got to have people in our world that are supporting us and elevating us and guiding us. But like I said, holding us accountable, because like one of my mentors used to say, accountability is the highest form of love.
I love
Accountability is the highest form of love.
I love that.
when you actually really, truly, genuinely care about that agent
Yep.
or that loan officer
Yep.
and you want the best for them and you're holding them accountable, you're loving on them.
Yeah, it's my energy.
Yeah?
You're getting a piece of my energy. I actually truly care about your success.
Yeah.
And right now, when it comes, everything's, so many people, something happens on the side of the road, you drive by. Something, happens in the grocery store, you might pull out your phone, you record it, but you're not involved.
Correct.
We're so in a dismissive community,
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
that when somebody actually is giving you a piece of them, and that piece of them is not to tear you down, it's not to criticize you, it's not to judge you, it's not to belittle you, because many of us come from that.
Yeah.
This interaction is going to be, some people, it's hard for them to even take on the support, and you know this. How many people have left your support because how uncomfortable it was for them to feel that level of love, that level of support, that level of encouragement?
But not even just leaving the team or the brokerage, like not getting that support from their family members.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not like
99%
I have
of the
conversations with the agents like, look, Alan, like I'm not getting any love from my spouse. I'm not getting any love from my parents. Like support.
Yeah.
And they're going through difficult stages in their career, in their business. They're trying to get their business off the ground, or they're trying to get their business to close more deals consistently. And they're not getting that support from their loved ones.
I've gone through that myself with my dreams being bigger than my actions.
I'm guilty of that, which is, by the way, that's perfectly fine.
I'm
You
like,
gotta
I
have
want
big
to create
dreams.
this, but I got to have these massive actions,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And I think that's where that's where they have to connect, right? Like where you're not just talking about where you see yourself going, but are you showing your family everything you're doing? And if it's not connected to where you are actually implementing and taking those action steps, and then being vulnerable and either asking for help or, hey, can you help leverage some time for me? The biggest part of accountability as well is how many people are you accountable with? Our partners hold us accountable in family time, because if you're like me and you, we probably would work 24/7 because we actually love what we do. But I got to come out and make dinner, and I got to come out and play football, and I got to come out. My 9-year-old son's like, Mom, let's play a game. So I have to, but I still love what I do, right? I'm in a place of I'm passionately connected to both ends. So when you have a family that doesn't support you yet, then sometimes that's your time to grind in, and you got to say that, hey, I might not be.
But what if your family is not supporting that?
You still have to put your own head in the sand.
So you got to take care of yourself first.
You got to put your own and say,
gotta
hey,
take care of yourself
you might not
first.
see this right now, but just give me 30 days.
Right.
And stop looking for validation from people that don't understand your plan.
Even if it's, let's say, it's your spouse.
Absolutely. Just give me 30 days. And if you
Interesting.
can't prove to yourself in 30 days and your spouse in 30 days, then you might need to repurpose and because maybe you're not on the right plan. If your spouse has to keep believing every other 30 days you're going to come through and it's struggle after struggle after struggle, you might need to revise your plan.
But sometimes it takes longer than 30 days. Like when I got my real estate license, I tell you, when I got my...
Actually, not saying you're going to get a check.
Oh,
I'm not saying you're going to get a check.
But at the end of the day...
maybe it's talking to somebody. I was at a gas station and I got a lead.
It can be a check. Like
it could be a lead. It could be a social media post. It could be anything. Action.
But sometimes those actions are not seen. You see what I'm saying? So, for example,
Yeah.
for the first 6 months as a real estate agent,
Yeah.
I busted my ass, right? But I didn't close any deals, right? But luckily, my wife was there supporting me, trusting in me. Like she was there, like, hey, you know what? It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Had a conversation with
But
someone.
you weren't doing anything for 6 months. You were doing massive action. I'm sure. I can only imagine what you were doing in those 6 months.
Oh, I was smiling and dialing. I was going on listing appointments, and I was getting rejected left and right. But as a man for me, being the breadwinner and providing for the family, 3 kids under age of 5, for me, it was a huge setback financially, because I'm supposed to bring bacon home. I'm supposed to bring money home, and month after month after month after month, I'm not generating income. I'm not making any money.
And what changed in 6 months?
Finally, I got my first listing, and that's all the work that I have done for 6 months. Finally, I got my first listing, which was a $100,000 listing. It was a $2,500 commission check, but guess what? It felt like it was a $1 million listing and $25,000 commission check because I finally won. I finally got something, right?
But Alan, 6 months of investing into yourself. People go to school for 4 years with no paycheck and expect to get a six-figure job, and most people don't even use their degree. So you invested 6 months into yourself, and now look at where you are.
I know, but it was painful 6 months. And I had some health issues on top of that. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. There was a lot of stress going on, $5,000 going out every single month with expenses. But again, I had a spouse, right? She believed in me. She trusted me, right? And she's like, all right, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I spoke to somebody a couple of days ago, a friend of mine. And, he got laid off a few months ago. He's got a side hustle, a side business that he's been trying to get off the ground for a couple of years. It's not really happening fast enough. And we talked about that business, but then he shared with me that his relationship with his wife is strained. Mm-hmm. Why? Because she's kind of tired of the fact that he's kind of like, not really generating that much income. The business is not growing and all of that kind of stuff. So they're drifting apart, right? So he's asking me for my advice. I was like, I'm not a marriage counselor.
Relationship
I'm not a marriage counselor. Yeah. I'm not this and that. But I said, look, at the end of the day, ask yourself a question. Are you doing everything in your power every single day to get that business, to generate that business, to get in front of customers, to market to those customers, to convert those customers? Are you doing that?
And what was his
Honestly,
answer?
no. So I said she has the right to question you. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, her concern is valid.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing everything that is needed, right, and you're still having some roadblocks and challenges and everything, then it's a different conversation, right? But the fact that you're not really fully utilizing your time on a daily basis, and that's your duty, that's your responsibility as a business owner, then don't complain.
Yeah. And if anything, she's holding you accountable, saying,
correct,
this is not working.
Correct.
She's holding him accountable out of love. Yeah. It's real estate is an investment of time. But the investment, if you give it the time, 6 months, anything.
Any business.
Anything.
Yeah.
And learn multiple streams of leads, multiple streams, not just put all one basket. You will be successful in real estate.
100%.
100%. There's just no way around it. But if you're not focused in the way of investing in yourself, just like I had to invest the last 2 years into my spiritual health to be able to be here right now. 2 years.
2 years.
Plus. It's not over. I'm still investing in my mental health. I'm still investing in my spiritual growth. I'm still having sometimes hard days and good days and bad days and best days and wonderful days. Today's a really good day being here with you. It's been a beautiful time, but I also know that people have to invest in themselves. Mm-hmm. If you're not comfortable investing in yourself or you don't know how to invest in yourself, real estate's going to be really hard for you. It really is.
And invest in the mentors.
Invest in who you surround yourself with.
Who you surround yourself with.
100%.
So let's talk about that, right? Yeah. So hot mess and blessed. All right.
Hey, you already got it,
hot
Alan.
Mess and blessed.
Hey, hot mess and blessed.
Hot mess and blessed. Right, we got that going on. Are we still live on that thing?
No, my fucking view. I think it's fine. Yeah.
All right. So what is the plan going forward? So you joined us a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about you forming a team.
Yes.
We talk about you're just getting your business to the next level with everything else: real estate, mortgage, investments, all of that. Tell us, what is the plan? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see your business going, expanding? I love the fact that you have so many different sources of opportunities and income coming in, right? Mm-hmm. You're not one-dimensional. I tell this to the agents all the time. Don't be one-dimensional. There's just so many different ways you can skin the cat, right?
Yeah.
What's the plan in the next 12 to 24 months?
My plan is to have fun sharing me.
having fun sharing you.
Yeah.
One too many.
To everybody. I'm going to share me and my passion of real estate, mortgage, helping first generation home buyers, helping home buyers that are stuck in this 3% interest rate, how to learn how to turn that into a cash flow investment property, buy again. Our next level of education is learning how to work with our equity. No one taught us that.
Yeah.
We're still babies on how to work our equity. We're sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars right now as a country. I think we're sitting on 35 trillion of home equity.
We are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're sitting on that much equity, and yet we have so many people who don't know how to leverage it, how to get more doors, how to build cash flow, how to create a retirement fund that's not just based on your job, but based on what you own, how to have more assets, how to teach your children, understand their credit, understand their wealth. I'm just here to share me. Share me.
Love it. All right. So that's for a consumer.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
What about real estate agents? If they wanna connect with you,
Yeah.
if they want to be part of your ecosystem, if they want to be part of your Hot Mess and Blessed group, I got that right. I got that right. What does that look like?
Connect with me on social or personally. Reach out to me at Best Homes. I'm here. My goal is to bring on at least 3 to 5 powerful agents onto my team. My leads are ramping up. I'm going to have at least another 300-400 leads in the month of March. And
300 to 500 leads.
300 to 400 plus amount of leads. And that's my thing, is that I want to be so full and abundant. I got to embody it for me to be able to give it. If I don't believe I can be in abundance, how can I teach abundance? If I don't believe I can act in flow and connection and be heavenly supported, how can I go out here and speak it? How can I go out there and share it? So that's my goal, is to have agents connect with me. If you want to be able to team up, live from your heart, heart-centered business where you can grow in business and in your home life, have a message, have a passion. And I'd be more than willing to interview to see if you got it.
Love it.
If you ain't got it, I'll also work with you, try to figure you out.
We'll figure it out. Put you on a down line.
Yeah.
Rough share. On that note, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, welcome to the team. I'm super excited.
Me
super
too.
excited to work with you, contributing to your continued success. Man, we're gonna do this again. I feel like we're gonna do this multiple times.
Yeah,
right?
It's good energy.
Because there's just so much to share there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. If you like what Renessa is, Hot Mess and Blessed part, if you want to connect. But the thing is, she's on YouTube, she's on TikTok, she's on IG, she's on Facebook. Follow her, friend her, subscribe to her channel, and mine as well.
Yes.
Right. Mine is TikTok. I'm not there yet, but it looks like I'm
We're going to get
be
him
there.
on TikTok.
That's right. We're going to get there too. And I appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Take care. Bye.